Hello and welcome to the Golden Wheel Tavern. It's so good to see you all again. The old faces, the new faces, everyone who's here, we very much appreciate it. So very much. It warms our heart. Every single one of our listeners, we appreciate it so very much. Now, over to our bartender for the bartender's brew.
Today we got apple juice.
We got apple juice. Next episode, hopefully, we may have something that's actually a mixed drink.
We got more characters now.
We got more characters. Speaking of more characters, that's not actually what we're talking about yet, but that's a hint to the, well, you already know what the topic for today is. That's an allusion for the topic for today. New characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go to our Tales from the Tavern's tables. Our Sunday group had a nice session last time we got together and played. It was fun. We all had fun. I was miserable at certain points.
It's a good thing none of those guys watched this podcast.
They could probably tell I was miserable.
No.
No?
No. Two of them are probably autistic.
Uh-huh.
The other one has ADHD and was sick.
I think they could tell I was miserable.
No.
So, our Sunday group is Monster of the Week, which is investigation. You gotta go out and try to find things, right? It's important to do investigating.
You're solving the mystery.
Solving the mystery, right? So there's a lot of going out and investigating, trying to find where stuff is. So we're doing that. We're going to game stores because the current mystery has D&D items showing up in the real world with their actual magical properties. So we have to find these magical items, get them out of the hands of the common folk, get rid of them, so on and so forth. So we're trying to do that, and we're getting leads, and we're going to different places and whatnot. And basically we have gotten, like, enough information that basically it's go back and have our characters rest for the night, and the next day go to certain stores that we know the people might be at. Okay, we've gotten that information. And I am like, okay, so I'm reading that this is a have our characters rest for the night, go out tomorrow, go to these stores, gather more information. We've gotten all the information for today. The rest of the party was not getting that vibe. So we decided to go to this location that we were explicitly told by the Foundation, do not try to go into, do not try to mess with. You are not qualified to deal with that.
You will die.
You will die. And the entire rest of the party was like, let's go stake out this place and try to investigate it. And I'm like, we've been explicitly told not to do anything with this place, but okay. So we go to that place, we investigate it. We basically just like park in the parking lot.
Not even. You park on the side of the road.
We drive circles around the building about 3 times and throw a rock at a fence.
Classic investigation.
And I'm like, okay, we got all the information we got here. We're gonna go back to the hotel and rest. And the rest of the party was like, we're gonna go to the barcade to see if we can find anyone there. And like, we're like, why are you going to the barcade? And then they went to the barcade. And they, like, even the keeper, little Mr. Bartender over here was like, I'll throw you a bone. Just an act of kindness, and say one person here was kind of vaguely talking about what you're looking for. And the player goes, I want to go up and talk to that person and get more information. And I'm like, no, the DM explicitly said, we are just giving you this bone. And the reason I know one of them knew I was miserable was because Sir Jack Knight, after that, was obviously joking and started making jokes about going to other places. Because they could tell I was like, we've got all the information we can get today.
I don't think they knew you were miserable, though.
Okay. But the point of that story is that sometimes your players
are dumb
and will not pick up on what you think are pretty clear hints that, hey, this is not the path to continue down. Sometimes you need to be a little bit explicit, or you just need to be fine with the fact that they're going to spend 15 minutes inspecting an empty room.
Yep, and I am fine with them spending 15 minutes inspecting an empty room.
I would be fine with that as the GM. The issue is I was one of the players, and I was like, Okay, I can move this party out of this empty room. No, guys, guys, move out of this empty room. Why are you standing in that corner of the empty room?
Yeah, but 3 of you guys were having a lot of fun inspecting empty rooms, so...
Yeah.
One of our players learned that you can put alcohol in milkshakes in that empty room.
Which was not relevant to the plot whatsoever.
Until this point in their life, they had never considered the fact that you could just add alcohol to a milkshake.
Yeah. It was a time I, as a player, was like a little bit miserable, like I said, because I was just like, yeah, I can get us moving forward with the plot. And I was just like striving against nothingness.
Yeah.
You need to keep in mind that your players may do that sort of thing, and you have to decide whether you're the kind of keeper or player who's fine wasting time in an empty room. And if not, you need to either, as the keeper, make it explicitly clear this is an empty room, you're not going to find anything, or you need to just be like, okay, you guys do what you want. Yeah, you can roll another perception check. You still don't see anything.
You could also do both. Oh yeah, you rolled a nat 20 on your perception check. I guess I'll throw you a bone.
I'll throw you a bone. You find a scrap of paper from a dead adventurer saying, "These are my dying words as I lack the energy to go on. There is nothing in this room."
Don't forget to bring food with you as you travel.
Or someone who can cook monsters.
For the listeners at home who can't see what I'm doing, I gave a thumbs up.
What about the listeners who aren't at their homes, who can't see what they're doing?
Ignore that statement. I gave a thumbs down.
Sorry, people who are currently, like, in their car or at work or walking or at the gym.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I gave a thumbs down.
Yeah. Schrodinger's hand sign of approval.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, speaking of listeners, we appreciate every one of you, every one of our listeners. And if you want to show your appreciation for us, the best way to do that is the social medias. Go to TikTok, go to Mastodon, go to Tumblr, go to Blue Sky, go to Twitter. I still refuse to call it X. Go to YouTube, like, share, retweet, reblog, everything. Spread the word. Talk to your friends about the podcast. Let them know, hey, I'm listening to this pretty decent podcast. Just get out there and spread the word, because that's the best way to show support for this podcast. Really, yes, we have a Patreon. You could go to it if you want and get the Patreon cut. But what's better than that is spreading the word via word of mouth, via social media, getting other people listening. That's what's more important at this point than any sort of financial, benefit you can give us. Helping us get the word out there, helping us grow as a podcast, helping us get more notoriety online. Maybe someday, for some reason, we'll cross over with some other more popular D&D podcast or something at some point, And if that happens, then we grow, and that's what's important. Right now, monetary support is not important. Just vocal support, spreading the word is what's important, and that's how you can help us the most. So really, if you want to help out the podcast, like our posts, share our posts, like the YouTube video, comment, share, spread the word, because that's the best way to spread the podcast, and that'd help us the most, and we appreciate that more than anything else. Now, on to the Tavern's talking topic for today. Session 0. Not Session 1, not Session 2, Session -0.
-1.
Not that either.
That's where you let your players sit and guess what Session 1 is going to be like.
Session 0.
Session 0.
What is a Session 0? Well, a Session 0 is the first session related to a campaign. Note that I did not say the first session of a campaign, because just because you're having a Session 0 doesn't mean that the campaign has necessarily started, because really, Session 0 can be a wide variety of things.
This is correct.
Thank you, insightful bartender.
I thought I would just let our viewers know, listeners know, consumers know, that you weren't bullshitting them.
Anything from character building to character introductions, prequels, side stories, etc. A session 0 is the player's first opportunity to interact with the system and or the world.
Yeah, you can kind of do it in a bunch of different ways, because a session 0 can encompass a lot of things. Just kind of, it depends on your group, and your group's needs. For example, a session 0 is a great time to introduce safety tools, but like for your upcoming campaign starting this next weekend,
yes,
I doubt you'll go over them because our group has been playing together for so long, we understand what they are.
Yeah. I won't necessarily be going over them in detail. I will be asking people to once again clarify what their lines and veils are. But I won't necessarily go into detail about explaining what it is.
Yeah, you're not going to say, hey guys, this is an X card. This is what you do with it.
Yeah.
Because we know. Because we've been playing together and that's a tool we've used for a long time.
Exactly. Session 0s can be a lot of different stuff. Like I said, character building, character introductions, prequels, side stories. What's important is that you're introducing the players to the world or the system in some way. Why would you want to do a session 0? Well, it depends on what kind of session 0 you're doing, but one of the main things you can do is collaborative backstory integration. If everyone's building their character together, which is the opposite of what our party usually does. Our group usually builds their characters all on their own. Everyone has their own character sheet sort of thing. If players build their characters together or have their characters interact before the start of the actual campaign, it helps with party cohesion, and it makes the party more integrated with each other, right? It makes more sense for these people to be adventuring together if you've already established, hey, they had this time they've spent together, right? It's not, you all meet in a tavern.
So, it's not Thursday, it's more like a Monday through Wednesday group. We will meet sometime between Monday and Wednesday because it's now summertime and there's sand volleyball in our town, apparently. I just want to say that I love my group's justification for why they're traveling together.
Oh?
Because we're traveling together.
Oh, okay. They were like, no, this is just, the DM has put us in this situation. That's just what it is. Other groups are like, but why are we DM, you can't just say we're hanging out together or else my character wouldn't be there. Your group, the DM said we're hanging out together.
My group is just like, yeah, we all have these characters, so guys, we've just been traveling together.
Yeah, we're just hanging out together.
We've been traveling together before this, and we'll probably be traveling together after this.
They've decided to railroad themselves.
They decided that now that they're existing, they've just known each other.
Yeah. So, when it comes to session 0, though, you can have backstory integration, which allows for deeper and richer connections between the characters. One of the issues with my upcoming campaign is everybody's backstory is separate, so I have to find ways to tie the party together in media res, you know?
But thankfully, you're sending them to school.
Yeah.
And school can just be like, yep, this is your group for your group project.
Yeah, that's legitimately what it is.
Yeah.
So, I do have a way of doing that. Session 0 can handle that for you, though. Another good reason for Session 0 is rules, explanation, and clarification, which is going to be helpful when you do yours.
Yes, because we are not doing D&D 5e, but instead doing Monster of the Week.
Yes, so...
which they have a little bit of knowledge about now.
Yes.
After our peasant funnel.
Yes.
But it's still helpful, because they're going to have different movesets and sorts of things to figure out.
Yes. If you're doing a system switch, if you're changing game systems, a Session 0 provides a low-stake environment for players to ask questions about the system and learn the limits of their characters and the system. Session 0s are really good for, this is the new system, this is, what we're learning, and everybody's like, okay, can I do this? And you can be like, no, but you can do this thing instead, and they can learn how to do that, rather than in the middle of a fight in a campaign where the story's moving, be like, can I do this? And have the DM go, no. And they're like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? In a Session 0, you can help them learn the rules and essentially have them play in a sandbox, which is very helpful.
Bold move of you to call yourself out like that.
I want to go, no. I go, no, here's what you can do instead.
No, I'm saying that you're the one who goes, oh no, what am I supposed to do?
What's that supposed to mean? That's not how I am at all.
Yeah, you are.
How so?
You do that, and then you're like, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it provides a low-stake environment for the players to ask questions, which is very useful. It's also a great time to set up safety tools such as lines and veils, the stoplight system, or X cards. If you want information on those, go back to our episode on safety tools, or look up the TTRPG safety toolkit. Either one of those. Just perfect time to set those up. The third reason why you might want a Session Zero is world building / world exposition. Right. Session 0 gives the players a chance to familiarize themselves with the basics of the world they'll be interacting with. So roleplay can happen more naturally and prevents the weird thing of like, oh, is there this? Can I do this? No. Oh, I guess I'll do this. Yeah, there's kind of that. Like, Session 0 gives the players a chance to understand the world they're in a way that allows them to interact with it. That's going to be what's happening with my Session 0, because my Session 0 will be in the world. An important part of my Session 0 will be introducing the players to the world, so that there's less awkward, I want my player to do this, can I do this? No. Oh, I guess I'll do this. Can I do this? Maybe. Can I do that? Blah, blah, blah. They'll be clear what you can do, what the limits of the world are. It also gives the DM a good chance to introduce the plot, or the BBEG, with very little risk. Because if you're doing the Session 0, the players are meeting in a tavern, and suddenly the dragon swoops down and rips the roof off the tavern and flies away, you can just do that as a cutscene in the Session 0, because players will typically understand this is the Session 0, it's more of a tutorial cutscene than an actual session.
I'm being attacked by a displacer beast.
The displacer beast has decided to grapple the bartender while the bartender was prone.
Yeah. So,
and by
don't expect me to do much on my next turn.
And by that I mean Lena's laying on the bartender's belly.
Not even.
Now standing on the bartender's belly / chest.
Even. She likes to stand on the most painful parts of my chest.
All cats love to do that.
Callie doesn't do that.
Callie loves to stand directly on your side when you're sleeping on your side.
Yeah.
Those are some reasons why you would want a Session 0. Rules explanation, world building, integrating characters. Those are all great for Session 0, and then you can carry that into the actual first session with very little trouble. Now, how does one run a Session 0?
So you gotta figure out how you're running your Session 0, what exactly you guys need. Because if what you need is to build characters, that is how you're running your Session 0. You are building characters and crafting backstories together.
Right.
If your Session 0 is, so I've already helped these people create characters, but this is a new system and they don't know the rules, you're taking them through a low-stakes little mission to teach them the rules. And if you don't need to do either of those things, you're just introducing them to the world and to each other.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to go about it. Session building or character building is a great Session 0 because then the players can ask this thing on my character sheet. What does that mean in regards to the rules? And they can get used to their character and the rules in one go. If the players are new to the system, you can do a Session 0 that's just a quick one-shot with pre-gens to introduce them to the system and give the GM a chance to introduce the plot, because then you can have the pre-gens die in the plot and then be like, okay, here's the character sheets, build your actual character sort of thing. You can do a lot with a Session 0, but the first thing you need to do is decide what you're doing with the Session 0. For my Session 0, I've decided the players are... I actually don't need to worry about spoilers because the episode will have come out we'll have had the one shot by the time this episode comes out. So the players will have their own little vignettes, mostly improv, explaining how they got to the school. Then there'll be an introduction to the school staff. There'll be an introductory speech. They'll be shuttled off, put into their groups, and then they'll be introduced to the world as a whole in sort of a campus tour sort of situation.
Yeah. I can't do this for my campaign with this group, but the next campaign I run that's Monster of the Week that's not for our Saturday group, my session 0 will be a peasant funnel.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we've discussed just the general concept of a peasant funnel on here before, but I don't know because the content of these episodes leaves my brain immediately after the recording ends and I don't listen to it and I have no hand in editing.
I may have briefly mentioned it during, like, the one-shot episode.
But a peasant funnel is where you have essentially level 0 characters and you're taking them through a level 1 challenge. They are going to die and your people are just going to keep making new characters until you've funneled through. You're gonna funnel all these peasants into a monster's mouth, and the ones that they end up with are the ones they end up with.
Yeah, and that's a way to do a session 0 because you end up with a character and you've experienced the rules.
Yeah, so I will probably do a peasant funnel the next time I do one. I really like it because it kind of does all 3 things.
Yeah.
They create characters together. They experience all the rules together if they don't know the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they are introduced to the world.
Yep.
And the BBEG, most likely, and the general plot.
Yep, so you get all 3 points of a session 0 with that, which is really good.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm going to say for a session 0, and some people might disagree with this, don't be afraid to railroad a little. Session 0s are inherently introductory, even tutorial in nature. They're meant to ease players in, so giving guidance, either as the GM or one of the players if it's a more collaborative GM-less system, is more acceptable. Because your players are looking to you, especially if you are in a GM position, to introduce them to this system, to introduce them to the world, to introduce them to the BBEG. They are looking to you for that, so it's fine to go ahead and pull up the train a little bit and tell people to hop aboard.
I'm gonna be honest, when running a campaign, it's okay to railroad a little bit.
Like, even just a campaign in general, I think we did an episode on railroading. It's fine to railroad somewhat. You have to put the bumpers on somewhere.
You can't let them walk into every room and spend 20 hours in every empty room.
Doing a little bit of railroading is fine. The main thing is try to keep the tracks hidden, you know? But when it comes to session 0, you can be a little more blatant with the railroading because they're expecting to be railroaded a little bit. They're expected to be guided along and for you to pull punches or not pull punches if the characters are supposed to die. They're expecting certain things from you, and a lot of that is just you teaching them the system. Speaking of railroading and keeping things moving and whatnot, keep it light and breezy. Now, I don't mean keep it happy and upbeat. I do mean keep it light and breezy. Keep it low risk and mostly explorative. And by low risk, I mean, like, don't make it such that if they fail, the world explodes. Yes, their characters might die, but keep it clear that it doesn't matter if their characters die if it's a peasant funnel.
Yeah.
Right? If Sleeve McDykel would have died, I would have been sad, but then I would have just grabbed a new character sheet and wrote...
Oh, I mean, he did leave.
Yeah, he left, but he didn't die.
And then Sleeve McDykel came.
Yeah, and then I grabbed a character sheet and rolled up Sleeve McDykel. But make sure they understand it's low risk and mostly explorative. They need to feel like, the players need to feel like they're having fun and working together, because that'll help your group come together, your group work together, and build together, which is important. Even a session 0 for something dark and grim can be fun and light while still being grim, because it's a lot less fun to try to understand the rules for encumbrance while your characters being assaulted by bats in the poison swamp. And the last important thing is give your players space to ask questions and raise concerns. It's the perfect time for them to ask questions and get them answered, and for you to assuage the worries of players in regard to the system. It's also the perfect time to get things like lines, veils, and wishes, which is something I will be asking for in my session 1. Like lines, veils, and then wishes is one you hear occasionally, which is just what's something that you definitely want to see. I'm expecting to not get a lot of answers to any of those questions.
I mean, my first answer, I feel like, may just appear in the thing anyways.
Oh?
Was a really cute dog.
Oh, okay.
I want to see a really cute dog.
Okay, there's a chance. I'll keep that in mind. And then the most important thing Remember that the session 0 is session 0. It is before session 1. So if something happens in session 0, or a player brings up a certain concern or that kind of stuff, and you need to change things, the campaign hasn't started yet. You can change things with very little consequence. If you do your session 0 and you introduce your BBEG, and one of your players improvs a scene that, like, this character is actually somehow related to the BBEG, yeah, you can change your BBEG. You can change this or that or some third thing to make it all work. Because this is before the campaign and you have a lot more freedom. So, go out there, have session 0s, and make them fun. Now, on to Max's Monster Minute.
So I was going to talk about the smiling one.
Uh-huh.
But on my way here, I saw Death's Kiss, and those guys are eyeball creatures.
Right, because they're beholder spawn.
They're lesser beholder.
Yes. Created, I believe, when a beholder dreams of having its, like, blood drained.
They come into being when a true beholder has a vivid nightmare about losing blood.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not using true here as an insult like I thought the Tavernkeep was using it about bugs, but just a classification.
I was using the word true in regards to true bugs.
There are true bugs and there are true beholders, and we're not saying that to make other bugs and beholders feel like they're not true bugs and beholders. It is just a classification.
Mm-hmm.
They're really cute, guys. They're adorable. They're just, look at this one. It's on page 85 of Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. Look at the little sketch. He just looks so, like, suspicious of whatever he's looking at.
They're essentially an orb covered with eyes, rather than your typical...
No, they only have one eye.
Oh, they only have one eye.
And then tentacles.
Oh, they can pull in their tentacles.
Yeah.
So they're an orb with one eye, and then tentacles coming off that have... Similar to if you've seen the Displacer Beast, or there's like squids that have that sort of thing too. They have the kind of tentacles that end in sort of like a petal shape with like spikes on it.
Yeah. They drink people's blood.
As you might have been able to guess by the fact that it comes into being when a beholder dreams about losing blood.
They fear true beholders. Because true beholders can easily kill them.
Makes sense.
And it will try to escape its creator beholder as soon as its creator beholder is occupied. It's just like, I'm out of here. I want gone.
We refer to the holy texts. Death Kiss is the most powerful of the 3 beholderkin, but not as powerful as a standard beholder. Toothy mouths. It has lightning blood. Its blood is electrically charged. You hit it, you get zapped.
Yeah.
It's a melee fighting brute, average intelligence, slightly above average wisdom, unsophisticated tactics, but somewhat selective about its target, and not reckless.
It's got reach of 20 feet.
Immunity to lightning damage. And its tentacle attacks grapple and restrain. And then it can drain blood from grappled opponents. Grabs an enemy. If it hits the enemy, it grapples it. If it has an enemy grappled, it does blood drain.
Yep, and when it does blood drain, it drains that much hit points from the other person and gains that much hit points itself, so it uses that to heal.
It does a true health drain, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's like 1 for 1.
It likes to hover 10 feet off the ground, as long as none of its opponents wield a polearm. Because that lets it reach 2 squares away from it if it's 10 feet up the ground due to Pythagorean theorem. It's a compulsive hunter, but one without stealth. Relies on overpowering its enemy. It will usually just attack one victim and suck it dry, and it can size up opponents, tries to pick off the weakest member, so your wizard's probably in danger. Attacks target with 1 tentacle, grapple, uses blood drain, attacks with another tentacle. Each time it hits with the new tentacle, it uses blood drain an additional time. Once it has 3 tentacles wrapped around a victim, it uses its entire multi-attack for 3 blood drain uses. Ooh, yeah, I guess it could attack, wrap a tentacle, attack, wrap a tentacle, attack, wrap a tentacle, all around the same person, and then just drain all of their blood. That's vicious.
He looks so pitiful. He looks like scared that he did something wrong.
He has a very wet eye.
He looks like he's scared he did something wrong and he's gonna get in trouble.
Kiss. Ooh, yeah, the Death's Kisses reaches 20 feet.
Yeah.
Meaning attacks of opportunity are... By the time you're able to get into range to you're already in its attack of opportunity range. Meaning, like, even if it moves towards your wizard might be like, oh, it's getting too close, I'm gonna step away, and unknowingly step from the, 15-foot range, the 20-foot range to the 25-foot range, at which point, attack of opportunity.
Yeah.
It covers a huge area with its AOOs. That's impressive. And then just, nope.
Well, it makes sense because if your party is facing one of these, they're probably only facing one of these because they prefer to hunt alone.
Yeah. More tentacles around an enemy, the more blood drain. Can fly with a grappled opponent in its grip at its base speed if it's small, half speed if it's medium, large, or huge. So if no enemy is within reach of the tentacles, but one is taking pot shots with a ranged weapon, it moves toward that enemy, hoping to smack them down. If the Death Kiss is unwounded, lightly wounded. Okay. Wow, okay.
It will potentially flee if it comes across another Death Kiss.
That's funny. Yeah, because it's a flying thing, it could grapple one of your players and then just, take off into the air with them.
So the other thing that you didn't mention, but it mentions in the book, the official book, not the holy text, is that they are terrified of dying from starvation.
So they are very compulsive hunters.
Yeah. They obsessively drain blood, even from little creatures, such as rats.
Okay, so you could definitely give, little hints that there's something here, that your players keep finding, drained small mammals in the area, but then they're gonna think, oh, Astarion's here.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, a vampire.
A vampire. The vampire. Anyways, quiz ball!
You ready?
Yeah.
So, our first question today will be review. The Death Kiss, the Gouth, and the Spectator are all variants of what iconic monster, guys?
Oh god, what is this? So I have no idea what the Death Kiss is. Never heard of a Spectator, but I know a goth when I see one.
Well, yeah, they're dressed in all black.
And they're quite something to behold. So I'm gonna go with beholders.
For the listeners at home, I rolled my eyes at him. For the listeners not at home, I shook my head at him.
Yeah, it's beholders.
Correct. What egotistical being of uncertain appearance was the great adversary of the original Blackmoor campaign?
Xanathar.
No.
Damn.
Egg of Coot.
Hell yeah.
The name derived from local Twin Cities gamer Greg Scott. What is the two-syllable abbreviation that is often used for Acquisitions Incorporated?
Is it just AI?
No.
Oh, Ac Inc?
Yeah.
Ac Inc. I'm glad I'm 1 for 3 so far.
I don't remember if I do 2 or...
You do 4.
Okay. Guess we'll save those 2 for the bonus round.
Okay.
In Faerun, how do thieves use the drug called chancel to enhance their skills?
It makes it so they don't have to breathe.
No.
Damn.
They apply it to their fingertips.
Interesting.
It increases sensitivity and can aid those working in darkness.
So it's a sensitizer.
Yes.
Meaning it's definitely used for sex.
Yes.
In Faerun.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. There's no chance that a sensitizing sensitizer that can be applied dermatologically is not used for sex.
Which means, if your rogue is looking to up their game in thievery or the bed, you could just let your character visit a sex shop.
Yeah. And they'll buy it, and the person will be like, is this for roguish stuff or sex stuff? And your rogue will have to be like, it's definitely sex stuff. Good, because I don't sell to people doing roguish stuff.
Or the shopkeep will just look them up and down and be like, this isn't for sex, is it?
This isn't for sex, is it? I'm so disappointed in you. I can abide by weird sex stuff, but thievery?
Honey, I can tell by looking at you that you don't get any. I just ask that if you're going to be using this to steal stuff, don't target my shop.
Don't target. You see the amount of equipment I have up front that can deal pain? How much do you think I have in the back? Listen, I could be an arms dealer if I wanted, darling. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate every one of you. If you want to support the podcast, please do so on social media. That's the best way to support us above all others. If you want to get the extended cuts, you can go to the Patreon, or you can donate $10 or more to a charitable thing. We have covered such things in the past. We'll be putting a link in the description. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate every one of you. If you do make a donation, send us proof of it to the email. And as always, make sure to tip the barmaids.